G'day mates and welcome back to Unreal World. So today we have ourselves, if I can make sure I'm actually focused on the screen properly after starting recording, we have ourselves lots and lots of charcoal finished. There is still a hell of a lot more coming in gradually, bit by bit, but that should be done in early evening, which is, when's that? Probably today. So in a couple of hours, another 6 to 12 hours of time, the charcoal will be done. So we've had a very couple of weather for the last 4 or 5 days of game here. The what's the place called? The lake actually froze, sort of all this shallow area completely froze up again. Not that I could walk on it, but we've had a fair bit of snow. We've had temperatures sort of dipping below freezing up here. So things have been pretty chilly and it's been a little bit hard going. I have, however, spent this time fairly constructively and built myself a cellar. So this little thing here takes like 10 stones, a couple of planks of wood, a shovel. I don't even remember now. Let's have a quick look actually. Building cellar requires 6 slender trunks, 6 boards and 10 stones, and our little crappy wooden shovel was what we had to make do with. And it is effectively a refrigerator. It is in the ground and it will maintain our food for longer. Now dried food can sort of go for close to a year, I think, before it goes bad. Smoked food for about 6 months, I believe, and roasted food a couple of days, depending on the weather. Very short in the summer. But what this has allowed us to do is make it a lot longer. I think our dried food will go for more than a year and a half, possibly even 2 years now. Of course, the other things will go considerably longer as well. About 50% is my experience, although it may be a little bit longer for some of the roasted foods, which will last, long enough to be useful, having more than a couple on hand at any one point. So done a bit of fishing, got some pikes, 24 pounds of roasted fish here, which will keep me going. Fish is generally fairly nutritious, although pikes I believe are not as nutritious as others. While I'm on the topic of nutrition, I will just briefly discuss this. I may have covered it before, but I will do it again. This is our hunger, and it's how empty our stomach is. This here is how our body is actually going. So we could be eating, you can actually drink water, lots and lots of water to bring your hunger down. But water has no nutrition. So you will gradually start to starve to death, even though you may not be hungry if your stomach is full. And of course, the more starving, I guess, your body is, the faster your hunger meter will fill. So it is possible to become, if you're drinking things like milk and high-calorie foods that don't fill you up very quickly or for very long, you can get very, very nutrified? I don't know. High nutrition. You can be very, very healthy. You cannot become morbidly obese in this game, though. I have tried that in a previous game. Not possible. Either way, now what we're going to be doing is, do I have my hammer on me? Yes, I've got my hammer. We're going to need fire, so let's push to the left. Let's say let's try 20 of those and 1 firewood. And start ourselves a fire here. Excellent. So to go any further, just double check that the blooms are here. We're going to need to hammer the blooms. Let's do 1 for now. Requires 1 iron bloom. And how many blooms do we have? We have 5 of them. So let's repeat that and do 5. Nope, I've actually got to pick them up. That is a little bit frustrating. So we'll pick up the iron blooms, and I'm imagining I'm going to need to pick up the charcoal as well. So let's figure out how much charcoal we're going to need. 20 pounds of charcoal. So we've got the iron blooms. Let's pick up 20 pounds of charcoal. I don't know which is better and which is worse. Given our skill level, I'm inclined to say that's normal. That's level 2, and that'll be level 1. So the really crappy stuff is inferior, I think. So pick up 2 of those and 18 of those to give us the best quality charcoal we can, which will give us hopefully the best quality iron stuff we can. So I'm going to repeat, make 5 of those and use these iron blooms and inferior. Actually, inferior is probably the level 2 one. That doesn't matter too much. Use those and this stuff here. So, looks like we're all prepared. We've got everything going. Let's start doing it. Stone hammer is the right tool, but suffers from poor quality. Forge is the right tool, but poor quality. And the wooden tongs are the right tool, but suffer from inferior quality. Okay, this could be one of those jobs that takes hours and hours and hours. Black grouse, no, we're just going to keep working. Well, our character has just spent 11.5 hours hammering that stuff, and we gained 4 inferior and 1 poor wrought iron. Pieces of wrought iron. We can't even move because we're so tired. Let's just sleep next to our forge. Starvation, there we go. Starvation has now begun to lower our physical performance. Not good. So this is, we actually are starving. So we spent all day without eating. We then slept for hours and hours without eating, and our body is starting to get weak. We actually don't have anything to eat. So let's go up here to our fridge and grab some food out. Let's start on the perches. I think perch is more nutritious. So I can eat 2 of them, and it's brought us up to insufficient. So they are highly nutritious fish. Go back to sleep, and tomorrow morning we'll be absolutely starving again. So we'll eat a bunch more. And if we can get this high enough, eventually starvation will begin to disappear as we begin to build up our fat reserves again. So what do we got? We've got wrought iron. So what do we do with wrought iron now? We've got fairly crappy wrought iron. Let's see if we can make some... I'm going to want an axe head. So axe head requires 1 pound of wrought iron, 4 pounds of charcoal, and all the other things. We're going to require more fire as well. So let's move all the branches and 1 of those over here. I probably should have pushed them, but move will do. We'll pick up poor, inferior. I can never remember. I think inferior. Pick up those, and we will start a fire. Any time now. Any minute now. There we go. Okay, so let's go and make a small axe head. We require our best wrought iron, which I think is inferior. I think it's inferior. We require these charcoal bits, and we will use our tools. Again, our tools and our forges and shit are really bad. But this one didn't take as long. You can see now our hunger as well, even over the course of maybe 1.5 hours, our hunger is nearly filled right up because our body is craving food. We've got an inferior, rough, small axe head. I'm going to eat a bit of food. And we are going to now consider making the next step. So, if we have a look at finished smithing tools, a hand axe will require a sharp, small axe head. So, we need to somehow convert this small axe head into something better. So do we temper? I don't know what we do next. We will... Nope, I guess we don't temper. That doesn't count. So let's go to, instead, sharpen the dull blades. We need a dull blade and a whetstone. I don't think I have a whetstone. That could be a problem, but is that... No. Inferior, rough, small axe head. So what do I do? No, that doesn't count either. It doesn't work as a sharp, small axe head. Maybe I sharpen somehow. Mining, no. Smithing. Sharpen dull blade seems to be the one to do, but maybe I have to hammer the rough blade. There we go first. First I have to hammer it. So I've got the rough blade, which is, I'm assuming they've already picked that up. Yep, they've already picked that up. So we've got the rough blade. Then we need more charcoal, hammer, tongs, anvil, fire. The fire's gone out, and let's push one of those, and we're going to need a bit more firewood as well. This is taking a bit of time. I thought I had everything set up, but it's going to take a little longer than I had thought. This mod, well, they definitely give you a lot of chances to mess things up. But I'm enjoying it so far. It's a pretty good mod. Being able to make my own tools is going to be a massive, massive benefit. They're going to be shitty tools, but it doesn't matter. They'll be metal tools, which will allow me to do everything a lot quicker. It'll allow me to dig holes with a metal shovel. It'll allow me to split firewood and make more charcoal. At the moment, this charcoal's taking me days and days to make. Being able to do it a hell of a lot quicker will speed up this entire process. And of course, the metal shovel will again help me dig up more bog iron. Although with 90 bog iron, it's 45 pounds of iron. I don't think I'm going to need too much more for what I'm planning on building at the moment. So let's think about this. I now need to hammer, no, not the bloom. I now need to hammer the rough blade. So I've got the rough blade. I've got to pick up the charcoal. There we go. Stone hammer is the wrong tool, but we'll do the best we can. So of course, getting a better hammer will help as well. And there we go. Okay, so with a poor, soft, small axe head. I think poor is again the lowest quality. So we could have done better. This grey thing here, we could have done better. We can't make good out of bad. So our skills and our tools were sufficient to make something that was higher quality, but the materials we were working with were so low. And that's the problem with so many steps. If we just have a quick look at this again, wrong button. We do a quick look at all the different things acquired here. We have to make the charcoal, which requires cutting wood, requires splitting blocks, requires splitting firewood from the blocks, requires making the chimneys, which is small logs, which is more cutting. Then you've got to actually make the make the charcoal, which requires the quality of your shovel and all sorts of things like that, and the blocks. From there, you then use the charcoal and the iron having quality that you've dug up. Actually, iron may not have quality, but iron and charcoal together using quality and your skill there, which may degrade it over time. And you can never go up in quality. So if I start at, say, mid-range quality here for my skills, and then I make a mistake somewhere in one of the steps, I go down, and I can do all the other steps perfectly and make another mistake, I go down to the very bottom. So we're ending up with some pretty crappy stuff here simply because my skills are low and there are a lot of steps involved. So I think what this mod is simulating is, even though I may have at some point the best skills in the world, it'll still take a little bit of luck and a lot of effort to actually make a top quality weapon or piece of anything. So now we think about what we've got here. We have ourselves a poor, soft, small axe head. So I need to, after eating, I need to consider the next thing, which will be tempering the soft blade. Requires more charcoal, tongs, forge, and fire. Okay, so to pick up a little bit more charcoal, let's say another 5. More fire required. I'm getting there. I am getting there. Okay, move all this stuff down. Push firewood. Where's the firewood gone? I thought there was a piece of firewood. Did I pick it up? Nope, the firewood has magically disappeared. Doesn't matter. These sticks will burn for long enough to start it. I have no idea where I pushed that firewood. Let me think about this. I'm now going to temper the soft blade. Requires some charcoal. Let's use whatever's available. Doesn't matter. We've already got the crappiest quality iron blade. There we go. We've fully recovered from starvation. So keeping our nutrition high enough means that our starvation has now disappeared. Although it's still apparently -1. Oh, there we go. Disappeared now. Okay, you've set and leave a poor, dull, small axe head here to prepare. It should be done in an hour, and again, we could have done better, but this is terrible quality stuff we're working with. The iron is probably done badly, and so we're going to work with what we've got. 1 hour gives us a bit of time to grab a bit more food, bit of a drink, and check how this stuff here will be done tomorrow. We can start making leather out of that. These ones here, the charcoal is all done as well, so we can move this shit into position. We've got 25 decent quality charcoal bits, so hopefully we can use those earlier on in the process to keep our quality as high as possible. It's taken us about 2 hours to actually move the stuff all the way up here, because there are several 100 pounds of charcoal. Where is the axe head? There we go. Poor, dull, small axe head. Now we're going to require more fire. I recognise this is probably taking a long time for some of you guys, but we are getting there. This is my first time doing it, and I'll probably do most of this back up here. Most of this off camera in future, or at least highly sped up. But the first time through, I would like to actually at least have you guys feel my pain, because believe me, I gotta press every single button here, and my fingers are wearing down to the nub. So we need ourselves another fire. We now need to make smithing. We now need to sharpen the dull blade. Requires a whetstone, not a fire. Why did I bother lighting a fire? What is a whetstone? How do I make a whetstone? Probably a utility item. No. Probably a crafting tool. Oh, there we go. Grind a whetstone. Requires a regular stone. So we'll pick up... Nope, I don't have any. Let's try here. We'll pick up a... No, I've used them all. It's a shame. I might have... There we go. One up here. Okay, we will grind ourselves a whetstone. Just needs a stone. It's going to take a little while. I suspect we're going to have to be doing this tomorrow as well, because my character is a little bit tired. So get ourselves an inferior whetstone. Alright, nothing to eat. Let's grab a bit more food. Have a drink. Eat some food. And let's sleep it off. Eat more food. Okay, so we've got ourselves a whetstone. Let's sharpen the dull blade. This is probably going to take a long time. Not really, it's actually quite quick. And now the whetstone is the right tool, but we've obtained a poor quality, sharp, small axe head. And again, we could have made better with our skills, which are apparently sufficient. I think Timbercraft is the one we use. It might be carpentry. Might actually be the skill we use for all this stuff here. And now what do? We need a... I'm assuming a finished good. It's going to be a hand axe. We've got a small, sharp axe head. Would require a wooden stake, tying equipment, and a knife. So let's pick up ourselves an inferior cord, because I'm not going to use a good cord on this, because we've already got crappy quality. I'm going to require a wooden stake. Let's pick up, I guess an inferior wooden stake will do for now. And I think that was all I needed. Tying equipment. Wait, I've got that. Cord, a knife. Here we go. And with that, we have replaced our hand axe. A rough hand axe. It's a shitty hand axe. It is a very, very bad one, but it is my hand axe. I have it back. We traded a acceptable quality hand axe away, and we've got this rough, shitty one in exchange for all our hard work. But, finally now, I can split firewood from a block, and I can do it in a reasonable period of time. This last one took several hours. Here it only takes about 1 3/4 of an hour to make a whole bunch of firewood, which is spectacular. Previously that took maybe 5 hours or something just to make a single set. So you can imagine making 400 pieces of firewood. No, not even, it was more than that. It's 50 firewood per thing or something like that. So it took me hours and hours and hours to just make enough firewood. Either way, we are pretty much done. We've managed to make our first little piece of iron weaponry. We have ourselves a rough hand axe. In future, I'm not sure what I want to make next. I might actually leave that up to you guys to decide. If anyone's got any suggestions, I will be thinking about it in time. I'm going to take a bit of a break from recording this particular game for the time being. I'll come back at a later date. That'll give you guys time to think about it and for the release to come out as well. What can we make? We can make... Knives I'm not interested in. We could go on making the bigger axes. I think a shovel is probably good, and that's probably going to be my vote. Although a cooking pot, fish hook I think is irrelevant. We've already got a fishing rod. A pot would be handy for cooking and making things like boiling stuff. And given that we're now in the early seed time month, which is the very beginning part of summer, then what we'll be looking at is crops and berries and all sorts of things coming out. So a cooking pot might be handy. Definitely splitting axes would be worthwhile for making a splitting off. It's an ideal axe for making blocks of wood. Shovels again for trapping and charcoal and all that kind of stuff. And digging up iron. Sickles are probably irrelevant. Broad axes are... what are broad axes good for? Okay, building a house. I don't think we're going to be building a house in this particular one. I'd like to build a kota at some point. Carving axes are good for also building a house, but in different ways. So you use these two axes mostly for building. Splitting axes for splitting. Woodsman's axe for cutting down trees. It also makes a very handy weapon. And of course the spear. Now what else can we make? What else can we make? Tailoring, nothing there. Weaving. Oh yeah, we can do a whole bunch of weaving. I should start seeing if I can grab and grow that stuff later. Weapons. What weapons? Oop, can't make any good weapons there. Looks like that is the limit of our metal crafting. What I'm going to consider doing though is doing a bit of self-modding in the meantime and making armor and things like that as well. Armor and other weapons. So something to consider. Short swords perhaps. Either way, that'll be a later game thing. Feel free to cast a vote or not in the comments if you're interested in deciding which way this is going to go. But I think once I've got everything set up here, I've got a few different tools. We're going to consider moving and going hunting for seals. We'll be moving north and probably west along the coast to see what we find. Anyway guys, I've been Blxz. This has been the Unreal World. Smash that thumbs up button if you do indeed enjoy the content. If not, thumbs down button there waiting for you. Please leave a comment and let me know how I can improve. And as always guys, I will see you next time.